The Bible Treasury. A monthly magazine of papers on scriptural subjects. Volume 18, Article 2, 1890 and 1891. All things to all men. Dear Mr. Editor and Brother, I have noticed of late what I am forced to consider a misuse of 1 Corinthians 9 verses 19 to 22, which, although perhaps not very new, is none the less important. The argument is, if Paul became as a Jew to the Jews, we ought to become as Wesleyans to the Wesleyans, etc. I think a careful perusal of the passage will show the fallacy of this deduction. Such a statement contradicts the Apostles' teaching concerning the Church of God. The mistake consists in this, that those who profess the name of the Lord are put in the same category with those who may deny him. Surely to belong to a kingdom and to join in divisions within it is not the same as to have always belonged to the ranks of the enemy. There is a sophism too, that if Paul went to open enemies, much more should we to these bodies of friends, whereas the truth is that faithless friends are worse than open enemies. Have not sects, or heresies, put a taunt into the mouth of the scoffer? Hear the Lord's Prayer, that they all may be one. That the world may believe that thou hast sent me, John 17 verse 21. All the severest judgments come upon those who in the place of nearness are really unfaithful, 1 Peter 4 verse 17, Ezekiel 9 verse 6, Amos 3 verses 1 and 2. On referring to the passage, we find the apostle's object was to save, verse 22, but he builds them, being saved, upon the one foundation, Jesus Christ. 1 Corinthians 3 verse 10, gathers them to one name. 1 Corinthians 5 verse 4, teaches them they have one Lord. 1 Corinthians 8 verse 6, and that they are one body, by the baptism of the Spirit. 1 Corinthians 12 verse 13. This body he writes to at Corinth as the Church of God. But now quite another thing occurs. They begin to divide first in, then from, the church, as followers of different teachers. Does Paul say he will become as a follower of Apollos or Cephas? Surely not, any more than he would allow them to become followers of Paul. The apostle is indignant at such a thought. Was Paul crucified for you? Or were ye baptized in the name of Paul? 1 Corinthians 1 verse 13, but he asks, is Christ divided? They were united to the one Christ in the unity of the one Spirit. It was carnality. Would Paul become as carnal? Certainly not. All things were theirs, and they were Christ's. 1 Corinthians 3 verses 22 and 23. Could he say this to those to whom he was made all things, that he might, by all means, save some? They could not be a testimony to a divided Christ. Were they truly his? Or did they hold up his name? There were divisions among them. 1 Corinthians 1 verse 10, Paul said there would be heresies, sects. 1 Corinthians 11 verse 19. Divisions were sects in the bud. Have they improved by becoming full-blown? Have they ceased to be the false testimony, that Christ is divided? You cannot reform a sect. Its very existence contradicts the unity of the body. It should be clearly understood, that I am not speaking of the condition of individuals, but of the testimony of their association. I remember a pamphlet headed "Why do we meet separate from other Christians?" There is a fallacy in the question. We do not separate from Christians, known to us as such, and not guilty of any sin requiring discipline, but we do separate from sects, which is a very different thing. How could we be unsectarian if we did not? We should be careful not to allow toward others in our hearts any sectarian feelings under the fairest show, for we know there were those who said, I of Christ, 1 Corinthians 1 verse 12, in opposition to those who said, I of Paul, and I of Apollos. Some say sectarianism began at Corinth, but it is more correct to say it began in the heart, Galatians 5 verse 29, Matthew 15 verse 19. Every godly walking one of the children of God should attract us, while the party to which he belongs may rightly repel. Not all those who say they are unsectarian are really so. It is very easy for a body of Christians, in a carnal state, to drift into a sect. Yet I believe there is some special warning, where this departure takes place. Some act, which constitutes them such, and makes the fact clear to those who really wish to do his will, John 7 verse 17, and look into the matter believingly for that purpose. Further, we know that the Lord generally allows false doctrines etc. to enter in such cases, because he permits sects, that they which are approved may be made manifest among you. 1 Corinthians 11 verse 19. That the blessed Lord may keep us, not only unsectarian but devoted to his name and glory in this difficult time, is the prayer of yours affectionately in him, C. O. A.